Emergency below the waist. The medbay lights flickered just once, but it was enough to make Viraya's pulse spike. She turned sharply toward the diagnostic bed, her 3 fingers trembling around the cranial scanner. Lieutenant Jason Reese had gone limp for a moment, but now his body convulsed with sharp, erratic jerks. No, stabilize, she whispered in Kelnery, her native tongue, slamming her hand down on the neurosync override. The human soldier groaned through clenched teeth, his body arching. Alarms rang out, his core temperature spiked to 105. Vitals scrambled across the holodisplay in red spirals. She'd treated blunt trauma, radiation burns, even alien spore infections. But this was new. Viraya cursed softly, scanning again. The inflammation appeared to originate from his lower abdomen, no deeper. She magnified the scan. A bulging cluster of tissue pressed dangerously close to his aorta. At first, she thought, it was a herniated organ, or a glandular rupture. But the tissue was expanding rapidly. She pressed her hand to the emergency stasis pad, but Jason snapped awake before she could deploy it. Don't freeze me, he gasped, sweat pouring down his brow. It's not what you think. His voice trembled with pain, but behind his eyes, something deeper churned, fear and shame. You're experiencing critical internal growth, she said quickly. This kind of inflammation could rupture a major artery within minutes. What is it? Is it from the battle? Exposure to its... It's not an infection, Jason muttered, covering his face with one arm. She paused. Then explain it. Because your reproductive system is showing signs of rapid hormonal surge, combined with unnatural vascular pressure. This looks like a parasitic. It's called a reaction, he groaned. And where I come from, it's normal. Viraya blinked. Normal. Jason winced. Humans get this when they're aroused. Vera stared at him, expression blank. Aroused, she repeated, as if it were a foreign concept. It's not dangerous, he mumbled. It's just a biological function. Happens sometimes without control. Especially when he paused, eyes flicking toward her, especially when there's stimulus. She felt a cold drop of realization fall into the pit of her stomach. Her gaze followed his, toward herself. Her bioluminescent uniform, snug and translucent in parts, was standard on her planet, practical, sterile, breathable, but maybe, too breathable for humans. You're saying, you're experiencing a critical biological surge, because of me. Jason buried his face in his hands. I wish I wasn't. Viraya stepped back, flustered. Her hands hovered awkwardly, near her hips. But your vitals aren't just reacting. There's a secondary structure forming near your pelvic wall, she said, bringing up the scan again. That's not just passion. Jason looked up sharply. What do you mean? Viraya isolated the anomaly. Its signature faintly pulsed. Unlike biological tissue, it had a hard shell, irregular shape. It was small, embedded between layers of muscle near his hip knot, something she'd expect to find in a natural response. It's not tissue, she said slowly. It's a foreign object. Jason frowned. Like shrapnel. No, it's symmetrical, possibly technological. He tried to sit up, but groaned in pain. The medbed hissed as it restrained him gently. Viraya retrieved a microsurgical probe. I have to extract it. It's too close to a nerve cluster, and your tissue is adapting around it. I don't remember being implanted, Jason muttered, eyes narrowed. Never had surgery there, never even been wounded. I'm not asking permission, she replied, voice firmer now. Whatever this is, it doesn't belong in you. She activated the probe. A narrow beam of sterile heat cut a perfect line. Near his hip, Jason clenched his jaw as she inserted the extractor. The moment the probe touched the object, a pulse surged through the air. The lights dimmed again. Jason's eyes rolled back, then refocused sharply. Wait, he said suddenly, voice low. Something just unlocked in my head. Viraya froze. What do you mean? I saw, a room, silver walls, 2 voices arguing. One said, he won't survive with it inside. The other said, then he doesn't deserve to survive. Viraya's spine tingled. She carefully withdrew the object. It was metallic, no larger than a fingertip, with strange etchings running down its side. Not Kelnery, not human, not from any known alliance. What is this? She whispered. Jason looked at it, breath shallow. I've never seen that before. She could speak again. The object activated. A pale blue light flickered at its center. A projection rose from its whirling code. Then words. Protocol Edenfall engaged. Primary host LT Jason Reese. Integrity 87%. Warning. Activation without clearance may result in breach. Then it blinked out. What in the stars is Edenfall? Viria asked, stepping back. Jason shook his head, visibly rattled. I don't know. I swear, I don't know. Viria placed the object inside an isolation capsule and sealed it. We need to report this. No, Jason said firmly. You saw that message. Clearance locked. We tell anyone and this turns into a Black Ops containment issue. I'll be dissected before the day ends. You're asking me to keep this hidden? She asked, incredulous. I am a healer, not your co-conspirator. You're the only one who doesn't look at me like I'm a threat, he replied quietly. You said it yourself. This thing isn't alien, isn't human. It's something else. And it was inside me. Virea hesitated. She looked down at the capsule again. The strange device pulsed once more inside it. There was a pattern forming, a low-frequency signal, invisible to the ear but not to her kind. It rang inside her skull like a tuning fork. Virea, Jason asked. She didn't answer, because now the medbay's comm console was lighting up with an incoming message, but no one had sent it. It was pure data coordinates, star system designation, a binary code looping endlessly. And in the center of the screen, one word flashed in common tongue: return. The hidden device, Viria, stared at the glowing console, her mind racing. The message kept pulsing: return. Just one word, no coordinates, no sender tag, no recognizable signal headers, and yet her body felt it. The tone, the structure of the data, something about it was painfully familiar. Jason watched her closely from the medbed, sweat still glistening on his skin. What does it mean? He asked. Virea didn't answer at first. She took a breath, her narrow chest rising and falling, her emerald skin shimmering faintly under the soft medical lights. It's not just a message, she finally said. It's a pinger homing signal. Whatever that object was, it called out, and something responded. Jason pushed himself upright, groaning through the ache in his abdomen. You mean I've been walking around with a freaking beacon inside me? Not just a beacon, Virea replied, a smart one. It only activated when it was disturbed. You've probably carried it for years without knowing. Jason rubbed his temples. I've never had surgery there, not even an injection. Hell, my medical records are clean. That doesn't mean it wasn't implanted, she muttered. Some implants can be inserted via nanoprobes or grown inside the tissue with synthetic DNA. Who the hell would do that to me? He asked. Vera shook her head. Maybe someone who needed a vessel, a human one. She turned back to the console. The signal was intensifying, and now it was accompanied by a slow-building hum deep within the ship's comm array. Virera's fingers flew across the control surface. The message is bouncing through subspace layers. It's skipping known relay hubs. Whoever sent this, it's not Alliance. Jason looked over her shoulder. How far did it go? She brought up a 3D rendering. The ripple from the device's signal had traveled across 7 star systems in under 30 seconds. Jason's voice dropped. And what's out there, Vera? Bit her lower lip. Unknown territory, dead zones, ancient ruins. We've only charted about 12% of the galaxy, remember? Jason leaned against the med console. So we might have just invited something. There was a long silence between them. Then the console beeped again. This time, the projection that emerged from the device wasn't just a message, it was a map. A holographic overlay hovered in the air, displaying star charts, orbital tracks, and at the center a slowly rotating sphere, Earth-like, blue and green dot. Jason leaned closer. Is that not Earth? Vera interrupted. But similar gravitational markers. And look here, gravitational markers. This planet's core emits pulses every 64 seconds. Jason frowned. Pulses like ... clockwork. Exactly. Artificial. She tapped the planet icon, and a new string of text unfurled. Edenfall key. Neurolocked. Only host may decrypt. Jason's stomach dropped. Me again, he muttered. Virea nodded. Whatever Edenfall is, you're the only one it responds to. Jason hesitated. Can you extract the data? Break the lock? Virea looked uncomfortable. Not without a full neural sync. That's invasive. How invasive? She looked away. It involves full cortical link. I would need to connect your mind to mine directly. You'd see pieces of my thoughts, and I'd see yours. Jason, blink it. You'd read my mind. Only what leaks through, she replied. Neural syncs aren't precise, but if you have memories about this device or clues buried in subconscious data, it might be enough. Jason hesitated, then nodded. Do it. Viraya retrieved the sync helm, a delicate mesh-like device that unfurled around Jason's head. She wore the twin band over her own crown. Close your eyes, she said, and try not to think too hard. It makes the static worse. The moment the sync activated, Jason felt a strange pull, like falling inward and outward at the same time. Images flashed Viraya as a child, standing under twin suns. Jason, training at the academy, laughing at a joke he couldn't remember. A silver corridor, cold, a table, bright lights, a face, not human, watching, a voice. He's the one. Bury it deep. Jason gasped and tore off the helm. Viraya staggered, too, clutching the console. Did you see that? He nodded. Yeah. What the hell was that place? She blinked slowly. I think it was a memory, but not yours. Jason looked at her. Then whose? She slowly raised a hand and pointed at the devices. Jason stared at the capsule. The implant was now emitting faint pulses, stemmed perfectly, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. Then the medbay's external sensors screamed to life. Vera turned to the console, hands flying. We've got something dropping out of FTL. Close. Jason's mouth went dry. How close? Vera didn't answer right away. She pulled up the visual feed. A ship hovered silently in the void, just beyond their orbital perimeter. It was massive, easily 5 times the length of a standard cruiser, but its surface was not smooth or metallic. It looked grown, as if the hull had once been alive. Segments of it pulsed faintly with dim green light. No weapons visible, no signal ID, no radio contact on, yet ... Jason could feel it, like it was watching. Viraya whispered, "That's not in any Alliance registry. That architecture, it predates our jump drive era, possibly pre-human." Jason backed away from the screen. It answered the signal. The ship moved, but not toward them. It drifted silently around the station, scanning. Then a new message appeared on the console. Return the seed. Jason felt a chill move through him. Seed? What seed? Viraya stared at him. You. He laughed nervously. I'm not a damn plant. She shook her head. No, but whatever Edenfall is, you're part of it. Maybe the last part. Jason stepped back, arms crossed. No, I'm just a pilot. I didn't sign up for this ancient prophecy crap. Then how do you explain this? She said, pointing to the screen. The ancient ship now began to project its own signal. It formed a second hologram, an image of Jason. But not this Jason. This version had long hair, scars across his face, and wore armor unlike anything in human design. Jason whispered, "That's not me." Viraya said, "Or maybe it was." The signal added another line. Final host located. Sequence must complete. Jason turned to her, fear creeping into his voice. "Viraya, I didn't ask for this." "I know," she said quietly. "But if I'm the seed, then what am I supposed to become?" Before she could answer, the lights flickered again, this time throughout the entire med. Emergency lighting kicked in. The station's central AI chimed in for the first time. Warning, external systems locked. Unauthorized vessel override detected. Please proceed to isolation protocols. Jason and Viraya shared a glance. "It's trying." "Too bored," she said. Jason clenched his fists. "Then let's figure out what it wants before it gets to me." Vera nodded. Then the console dimmed to black, and a final encrypted file appeared. A countdown. 0:59. 0:58. Vera's eyes widened. "It's a decryption key. I'm locked. At the end of the countdown, ... we get answers." Jason stepped forward. They both watched the numbers fall, and neither noticed the quiet hum growing inside Jason's chest, the place where the device had once been. "They heard us. 0:03, 0:02, 0:01. The countdown reached 0. The screen blinked white, then flooded with data lines of alien code, fragmented images, and finally, a pulse that rippled through the floor like a shockwave. Jason stumbled back. Viraya steadied herself against the console, eyes fixed on the holographic projection now hovering in front of them. It showed a star system, a binary sun, several scorched planets, and at the outer rim, a single green world, encased in a hexagonal shell of orbital debris. Text scrolled across the image. STAGE-2 activation detected. Final host breach confirmed. Inheritance window open. Jason's breath caught in his throat. What does that even mean? Virea scanned the metadata. Inheritance window. Sounds like some kind of biological or technological transition. Like a download. Into me? Jason asked. No. From you, she said. Whatever's inside you, it's waking up. Before Jason could respond, the deck shuddered beneath their feet. Not from an explosion, from proximity. The ancient ship outside was moving again, its hull glowing in slow pulses. Vera rushed to the viewport. Through the reinforced glass, she could see the alien vessel now drifting toward their docking ring. Still no weapons, still no engines firing, just pure, silent momentum. Jason joined her, squinting. A section of the ship began to open, organic layers peeling apart like a blooming flower. Inside, not darkness ... but light, pure, blue-white, like a star caged in flesh ... And then a figure emerged. It wasn't walking. It was floating, roughly humanoid, taller than any known species, limbs long and fluid, its head smooth and featureless, except for a vertical slit of pulsing light. Its skin shimmered like liquid metal laced with veins of green . It didn't come through the airlock. It phased through it. Jason stepped back instinctively. Virea, how is it inside? That's vacuum out there. Virea stared, frozen. It's not using matter like we do. It's bypassing space altogether. The being hovered 3 feet off the medbay floor. It made no move to speak. No weapons, no hostility, just ... presence. Jason's hand twitched toward the emergency defense panel. Don't, Virea whispered. It's not here to fight. The being turned toward Jason and, then, without a word, projected a memory. Jason collapsed as it hit him. He was somewhere else, standing on a platform beneath twin stars. He saw thousands of beings, human and not, watching him. A voice echoed in his mind. Your kind reached too far, and when you touched the dark between galaxies, it changed you. He saw ships crumbling, planets burned, a glowing seed floating in space untouched, unspoiled. You were chosen to carry what we could not. The last map, the code of survival. Jason fell to his knees, gasping. The vision ended. He was back in the medbay, eyes wild, heart racing. Virea knelt beside him. What did you see? He swallowed hard. They didn't implant a weapon in me. It's a memory vault. The last record of something ancient, something we caused. You mean humans? She asked. He nodded. They said we reached into something we shouldn't have, something beyond the edge, and it reached back. Vera turned toward the alien. Why now? Why are you activating him now? The being didn't answer in words. Instead, it extended an arm and its hand split open into a bloom of light. In its palm, a miniature projection of the Earth spun, overlaid with a growing red zone. Jason stared. What is that? Spread, Virea said grimly. Some kind of infection, or ... breach. Jason stepped forward, voice cracking. You want me to stop it? How? The being finally spoke. Its voice was in his mind, echoing, layered, almost like a song. You are the last echo of a choice made long ago. The code within you can either awaken what we sealed, ... or rewrite it. Jason staggered back. Rewrite? What? The being turned and pointed toward the capsule that still contained the strange device. Virea had extracted. The seed is memory. But memory alone is not wisdom. You must choose what survives. Vera looked at Jason. They're giving you the power to decide humanity's future. Jason shook his head, overwhelmed. I'm not a leader. I'm barely a pilot. I can't even remember half my own childhood. Maybe that's why they chose you, she said softly. A clean slate, no bias. The alien being slowly floated backward toward the Walland with a flicker, phased out of existence. No sound, no flash, just gone. A moment later, the lights across the medbay returned to normal. Jason turned to Virea. What now? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked to the console and pulled up the data from the device. Lines of encrypted memory blocks hovered in midair. Whatever's inside you, she said. It's not just a recording. It's a fork in the road. One path opens the door. The other closes it forever. Jason looked at her. And I get to pick, she nodded. With help, he frowned. From you? She gave him a faint smile. No. From it. Jason's chest tightened. Wait, what do you mean? And then he doubled over in pain. His skin rippled. His spine arched. Vera grabbed him, lowering him to the floor. The med scanner flared red. Inside his bloodstream, something was activating, of microscopic nodes, lighting up like stars. The implant hadn't just sent a signal, it had unlocked something dormant. Viraya frantically scanned him. Jason, your cellular structure, it's changing, not mutating, evolving. Your DNA is rewriting itself based on the memory code. Jason gasped for breath. Make it stop. I can't, she cried. It's already beyond control. You're becoming something new. Then his eyes snapped open. They weren't his eyes anymore. Viraya stepped back. Jason stood, his voice layered, metallic and human at once. Phase 2, confirmed. Host sync, stable, biological interface, optimal. Jason, she asked. He turned slowly to her. I am Jason Reese, and I am also the archive. She stared at him. The archive of what? He looked at the projection, still glowing above. The consolder burning red zone on Earth, expanding slowly, of every mistake humanity ever made. The lights dimmed again. A second signal pinged from the alien. Ship. Another vessel had entered their system, but this one was different. It was human, old, Earth tech, and it was broadcasting one message. Do not let him activate. He is not what you think. The seed within the message from the human vessel echoed through the medbay like a ghost from the past. Do not let him activate. He is not what you think. Jason stood perfectly still, the flickering lights casting his shadow, long and jagged across the floor. Viraya stared at him, unsure if she was still speaking to her patient, or something else entirely. The holographic projection still hovered above the console, showing the Earth-like planet, wrapped in a growing red zone. Jason's newly awakened voice had called himself the Archive. Now, a ship bearing humanity's old tech was warning against him. Jason, Vera said slowly, cautiously, are you still in there? He turned to her, face pale but calm. His eyes had returned to normal. The strange glow faded, yet there was something still about him, as if he were listening to things she couldn't hear. I am, he said softly, but I'm not alone. Viraya took a step closer. You're speaking like something inside you is conscious. He nodded. It is. The archive isn't just a database, it's a sentient construct. It was sealed inside me, a long time ago. I just didn't know it. She looked at the console again. And that ship, the one that just arrived, they know. Jason stepped to the viewport. The second vessel was now visible in orbit, a human dreadnought, class cruiser, ancient by modern standards, its hull weathered and patchwork. No identifying markings, no official tags, but it was broadcasting continuously. Subject Reese is a seed host. Do not allow mental merge. He is a living weapon. Terminate if necessary. Jason looked away. They think I'm a threat. Viraya approached the console. I need to know what's really inside you. Jason nodded slowly. Then, I'll show you. He placed his hand over the capsule containing the implant. The device immediately responded, blue veins of light crawling up his arm and into his chest. His pupils dilated. The hologram shifted again. This time, it showed a lab deep underground, dark, sterile, dozens of pods. Inside them, humans, or what looked like humans. Each one had a small black device implanted near their hip. Project Edenfall, Jason said, initiated 231 years ago. A black project. The last attempt to preserve humanity by fusing alien resilience into human DNA. Viraya's breath caught. They made hybrids. Jason nodded. Only a few were viable. The rest either destabilized or became other. The experiments were buried. Records erased. She looked at him in horror. And you? I am the last viable host. The final prototype. They wiped my memory, placed me into active service to see if the seed could stay dormant under real-world conditions. Her voice trembled. That's why the implant looked older than known tech. It was centuries old. Jason's tone darkened. The idea was simple. Give a seed human the potential to evolve when Earth faced extinction. A biological failsafe. But the moment the archive unlocked, it transmitted to the ancient ship. She realized that was the failsafe's other half, the alien side of the code. He nodded. And now it's reconnected. Viraya looked at the console. The second human ship was descending into the same orbital layer, now launching small pods. They weren't friendly. Jason, they're going to try to kill you. I know, he said. And if they do, she asked. Jason closed his eyes. Then the knowledge, the map, the potential to reboot humanity's biology dies with me. Viraya's hands trembled at her sides. So what do we do? Jason looked at her. Not coldly. Not analytically, but humanly. We run. The stations. Emergency alarms began wailing as 3 atmospheric breach pods slammed into the outer hull. Virea grabbed the capsule containing the implant and shoved it into a secure field unit. Jason reached for the medbay's side armor non-lethal shock pulse weapon and held it loosely at his side. "Do you even know how to use that?" Virea asked. Jason grinned. "You'd be surprised what I remember now." They sprinted down the corridor as bulkhead doors began to seal behind them. The station's AI, voice stiff and emotionless, echoed. "Unauthorized boarding detected. Lockdown engaged. Evacuate to subdeck shelters." But Jason wasn't heading to the shelters. He led her to a restricted level, the old research labs, long sealed since the base was repurposed for civilian medical use. "How do you know this is here?" she asked, panting. He didn't answer, until they reached a thick blast door. He pressed his palm to the scanner, and it lit up green. Identity confirmed. Subject, Reese. J status, archive carrier. Access, granted. The door groaned open. Inside, it was dark, dusty, forgotten. Stasis pods lined the walls, each one cracked and empty. Half-burned documents littered the ground, and in the center of the rumor vault, Jason approached it slowly. His steps grew unsteady. "Something's here," he said softly. "Something from before." Vera helped him forward. "What's inside?" He placed his hand on the scanner. The vault door hissed open, and they both froze. Inside was a sealed pod, filled with mist. Floating inside, perfectly preserved, was a human body. Jason stared. The man in the pod was him. Identical. Same face, same scar, same DNA. Virea whispered, "Jason, that's not possible." He leaned forward, his breath fogging the glass. "That's the original," he said. She turned to him. "You're the clone." He nodded. "A copy. The last attempt after the original failed. They put his memories into me. That's why I always felt fractured, incomplete." Virea looked at the pod. "Then who are you now?" Jason turned to her, something fierce and bright in his eyes. "The version that lived." A loud crash echoed from above. The infiltrators had reached the lab level. Jason sealed the vault again. "They can't find this place, not yet." V pulled him toward a hidden access tunnel behind the wall. "Come on, there's a shuttle dock 2 levels down." They moved quickly through the maintenance shafts, the station trembling from pressure breaches above. "Jason," she said as they ran, "when that being told you to choose what survives, what did it mean?" He glanced at her. "The archive contains more than just memories. It has adaptations, ways to change the human genome, enhance it. We're not just talking longer life or strength. I'm talking resilience to extinction-level threats. Biological evolution," she breathed. "Not just that. Ethical reprogramming. Emotional balance. The best of what we were meant to become." She stopped short. "But also the worst, right?" He nodded. "The original Jason, he chose to create both keys. One leads to humanity's rise. The other, its fall." Virea stared at him. "And you're the one who decides which key gets used." He swallowed. "Yes." The final bulkhead blew open above them. Footsteps echoed through the corridors. Jason turned to her. "Then I need you to help me make that choice." "Why me?" she asked. "Because you saw me before the archive. You treated me like a person, not a threat, not a weapon." Virea's eyes shimmered. "Then let's get off this station. We finish the decision somewhere they can't reach." Jason nodded. They reached the shuttle bay and, before them sat a small interstellar courier pod, fast, unarmed, unregistered. Perfect. They ran aboard. As the hatch sealed behind them and the engines fired. Virea activated stealth protocols. Jason looked out the window as the station grew smaller behind them, and on the console, one final message blinked from the implant. "Seed stabilized. Next phase awaits." He turned to Virea, voice low. "What happens if I make the wrong choice?" She looked at him and said simply, "Then everything we've ever called human ends." The clone conspiracy. The stars streaked past the shuttle's canopy in long, silent trails as they fled the station. Jason sat in the co-pilot's seat, unmoving, his gaze locked on the void. Vera monitored the navigation feed, adjusting course to avoid the long-range scanners of the hostile Earth vessel they'd escaped from. Neither had spoken in nearly 10 minutes. Then Jason broke the silence. "There was never supposed to be a clone." Viera turned to him. "What do you mean?" Jason's voice was low. The Edenfold project was designed to create one viable host, just one. The seed wasn't meant to divide. It was meant to grow in a single body, fuse human unpredictability with alien foresight. The original Jason was that host. She blinked, but he failed. He nodded. The seed didn't activate in him. He resisted it, shut it down. The scientists running the project thought he was the flaw, not the process. So they made me an identical copy, clean slate, modified memory, less resistance, more compliant. Virea whispered, "So you're the backup plan?" He shook his head slowly. "I'm the weaponized version." That landed like a weight in the shuttle. Jason's hands trembled. On the console, that other ship, the one that tried to stop us, they weren't lying. "I'm not just the archive. I'm the trigger." Virea stepped forward. "What trigger?" He looked up at her. "The final phase of Eden, just preservation. It was purification. If the archive detected a planetary threat level beyond containment, it would activate its host to initiate a full biological overwrite of Earth's population." She froze. "Overwrite, as in change humanity?" Jason nodded grimly. "Everyone, all at once." Her voice faltered. "To what?" Jason looked her straight in the eyes. "To whatever version the archive calculated was most survivable, even if it meant rewriting what it meant to be human." The silence that followed felt endless. "And the original Jason?" she asked. "He refused to be that trigger." "Yes," Jason said. "He believed humanity had to evolve by choice, not force. That's why he buried himself. And me. That's why he never activated the final key." "And now?" she asked. Jason looked back at the stars. "Now I feel the seed stirring inside me. It wants to deploy." Vera gripped the side of the console. "So, do we have a choice?" Jason glanced at the isolation capsule she had tucked under her seat, still glowing faintly. "I think we do," he said. "But first, we need to meet the original." They followed the trajectory encoded in the archives, pulse coordinates hidden in Jason's neurobiosignature. After several hours, the shuttle exited FTL near a small rogue moon drifting between star systems. No buoys, no beacon, just a barren rock orbiting nothing. Until the sensors pinged. "Buried structure," Vera said, scanning. "Artificial, deep, masked by mineral shielding." Jason stared. "He's down there." They landed on a plateau littered with broken satellites and ancient drop pod husks. The entrance was a rusted airlock built into the side of a cliff, blending almost perfectly with the stone. Jason stepped forward, breathing slowly. "Wait," Virea said, grabbing his arm. "We don't know what's inside. He could be armed. Dangerous." Jason nodded. "So am I." He pressed his hand to the lock. It opened instantly. Inside, the corridor was cold and dry. Light flickered faintly from recessed panels that hadn't seen activity in decades. They moved in silence until they reached the central chamber walls lined with all screens. Broken chairs, discarded genetic logs. Anne, at the center, a figure, sitting calmly at a terminal, dressed in a dark coat, eyes closed. Then he spoke, without turning. "I was wondering when you'd find me." Jason stepped forward. "You're the original." The man stood, slowly turning. Same face, same eyes, older by years, not age, worn by choices. "I was," he said. "Now I'm just the mistake they couldn't delete." Virea stepped forward. "We have questions." He nodded. "I have answers, but they won't make you feel better." Jason's voice was tight. "Why didn't you destroy the seed?" "Because I believed humanity deserved a chance to change on its own, not by some artificial push from a god-complex program." "You locked me in stasis," Jason said bitterly. "You made me forget who I was, who you were." The original walked slowly toward them. "Because I saw what you were becoming. I felt the seed inside me, waking up. I knew I couldn't stop it, but maybe you could." Vera stepped between them. "Why now? Why is the seed activating again?" "Because Earth crossed the threshold," the original said. "Mass extinction levels, genetic collapse, environmental strain. The archive's protocols sensed the planet's tipping point." Jason clenched his jaw. "Then why didn't it just activate automatically?" "Because it still needs a choice." The original looked him dead in the eye. "Your choice." Jason hesitated. "And if I choose to activate it?" The original exhaled. "Then Earth is reborn. Every human rewritten, all illness, violence, fear coded out. A perfect survival model," Virea whispered, "but not human." Jason nodded slowly. "What if I choose not to?" The original answered quietly. "Then humanity lives, and probably dies. As it is, Jason turned away, pacing. So I'm choosing between survival without humanity, or humanity without survival. Virea spoke gently. No, you're choosing whether we deserve the freedom to fall. Jason stopped. His hand rested on the capsule. Then the original did something unexpected. He pulled out a small injector sleek, silver, and held it out. What is that? Jason asked. A third option. Jason frowned. What's in it? A neutralizer. It kills the seed without harming you. Ends the cycle. Forever. No activation. No overwrite. Just life. Jason stared at the injector. Virea stepped close. You said the seed was changing you. If you use this, you go back to being just Jason. He looked at her. And if I don't, then you become something else. Something that might not be you anymore. Jason held the injector in his hand. Light. Cold. He looked at the capsule. At the stars. Then back at the original. Why didn't you use it? He asked. The original smiled sadly. Because I was too afraid of what humanity would become without us. But maybe that fear was the real failure. Jason stepped forward. He offered the injector. To Vera, her eyes widened. Why me? Because I trust you to do the right thing. If I start to change, if I lose myself, you'll know what to do. She took it slowly. Then Jason turned back to the capsule and, for the first time, opened it. The device inside pulsed brighter than ever. His body tensed. Veins lit beneath his skin. His breathing grew ragged. Then the archive spoke. Seed fully integrated. Final decision awaits. Jason whispered, show me. And the room went dark. In his mind, Jason saw Earth, its past, present, and possible futures. One path. Gleaming cities. No poverty, no war. But no emotion, no creativity. Just order. Another. Wild, chaotic, flawed, but free. Alive. Then, in the quiet of the void, he heard Vera's voice, not in words, but in feeling. Let us be human, even if it kills us. Jason opened his eyes. He looked at the capsule. Then he crushed it beneath his heel. The light vanished. The archive flickered and died. The seed was gone. The original. Jason smiled, eyes glistening. You chose well. Virea stepped forward, breathless. Jason. He turned to her. The glow in his chest gone. His body still. Still me. She touched his hand. You always were. The final echo. The capsule was shattered. The light inside Jason faded. No more pulses. No hum. No hidden code whispering in the back of his mind. The seed was gone, crushed underfoot. Its ancient technology silenced. For a long time, no one spoke. The original. Jason, older, warier, gave a quiet nod and turned away. As if a weight had finally lifted from his chest. Virea's fingers were still lightly wrapped around the injector. Jason had given her unused. You didn't even wait, she said softly. Jason looked down at his hands. I felt the answer before I even asked the question. Virea stepped closer. What did the archive show you? He looked up, his eyes clearer, no more human than ever. It showed me a perfect world, he said. No war, no sickness, no fear, but it didn't feel alive, just programmed, predictable, cold, like everything that made us had been edited out. He looked at her. You reminded me what being human really means. Her breath caught in her throat. Then the original. Jason spoke again. You made the choice, I couldn't, and because of that, you've closed the loop. Jason tilted his head. What happens now? The older Jason moved to a console and activated a hidden panel. The compartment slid open, revealing a small silver cube, no bigger than a hand. This is the last fragment of Edenfall's research, he said. All the genome algorithms, all the predictions. It's dormant now, harmless, but maybe, someday, it could help, without controlling. Jason stared at the cube. You're giving it to me. I'm trusting you to bury it, or pass it on, but not to use it. Jason nodded. Then Virea said, we can't stay here. That human ship will track us again, and they won't stop until they're sure Edenfall is dead. Jason pocketed the cube. Then we make sure they know it's finished. They returned to the shuttle together. As the old moon base faded behind them, Jason transmitted a broad spectrum burst, encoded with a single message. Project Edenfall, terminated. The seed is dead. The future belongs to the living. A copy of the broadcast was also sent to the alien vessel still orbiting the far edge of the system, the one that had answered the signal. Its pulsing lights dimmed. Then, like a ghost satisfied with unfinished business finally laid to rest. The ship vanished into the stars without a sound. Jason sat back in the pilot's seat, watching the final echoes fade. 3 days later, aboard a civilian cruiser headed for Proxima Station, Jason and Varaya stood at the observation deck as stars slid past the glass. "So," she said, arms folded. "No more archive, no more seed, no secret destiny." Jason smiled faintly. "Just a guy who used to be a science experiment, trying to figure out what breakfast to order." She laughed, but then her expression softened. "You know, when I first met you, I thought you were arrogant, rebellious, a little reckless, and now I think you're all those things, but also brave and painfully human." Jason chuckled. "I'll take that as a compliment." She looked down at her hand, then passed him the injector, the one he'd asked her to use if he changed. He took it and pocketed it silently. "You really would have done it," he said. Vera nodded. "If it meant saving who you are, yes." Jason looked at her, eyes searching. "And if who I am isn't enough, then we figure it out together." He nodded slowly. "There's still so much I don't remember. I don't even know what parts of me were real and what were programmed." She touched his hand. "This moment is real." Later that night, Jason sat alone in the shuttle bay, the silver cube resting on his knee. He thought of the archive, the knowledge it held, the mistakes it recorded, the path it almost forced upon the world. He thought of humanity not perfect, not optimized, but alive. And he knew that if the choice came again, he'd make the same one. Still, he couldn't help but wonder what would have happened if he had said yes. Would Earth be saved? Would people suffer less? Would he still be himself? The cube glowed faintly. He sighed, closed the protective casing, and locked it into a magnetic vault beneath the shuttle's floor. It wasn't a weapon anymore, just a reminder of what almost was. 1 month later, Proxima Research Station. Jason and Varaya were officially off-grid now. No more tags, no more military classifications, just 2 consultants helping with civilian exploration routes. Their past remained buried, until the day a transmission came in, unmarked, scrambled. Jason opened it. A short line of text blinked on the screen. He chose the human path, prepared the others. Jason leaned forward. "What is this?" Vera scanned the signal. "It's not Earth, and it's not alien, it's both." He looked at her. She looked back. "Looks like Ed wasn't the only project," he said. She nodded. "Then maybe this isn't the end." He smiled. "Then, let's write a better beginning." Final scene: in a stasis chamber. Somewhere unknown, dozens of pods lined the darkness. One of them flickered to life. Inside, a young girl, eyes closed, skin softly glowing, began to stir. A voice echoed faintly overhead. "Awaken, Echo Host 7. The human template has chosen life. It's your turn now." The end.